Hello and welcome back to the Dave Does Detailing YouTube channel, and in today's episode we are going to be tackling this absolutely filthy Nissan Navara. Now this is a work truck and it's quite possibly never seen a wash in its entire lifetime. So what we're going to do today is we've got some new products to try. They are from a company based in Scotland, Glasgow, Scotland to be precise, called Blackbeard's Detailing. Now this isn't your normal detailing supplies company. This is an actual detailer. I'll list his website and his own YouTube channel in the links below if you want to go and check him out. Works on some phenomenal cars. So what he does is he uses these products daily on the cars that he washes, and he also has them readily available for anybody to go onto the website and buy. So I thought, I'm going to go and buy some of these products and I'm going to give them a try, and what better test to put them up against than this absolute nightmare. So the first thing we're going to do is tackle the wheels. Now before I get started, one of the things that I need to say about these products are the naming of them is absolutely fantastic. This is called Ahoy Wheel Cleaner, and this is a non-acidic water-based wheel cleaner to read from the label, and is dilutable for heavy dirt at 5:1, for moderate dirt at 10:1, and for light dirt at 25:1. So what I've done is I've put it in my IK foamer and I've diluted it down at 10:1 to see how that tackles these wheels. I'm not using anything in the bucket. I've got a bucket that's got all my wheel cleaning brushes in it, and the only thing that's in it is water. So the only thing that's going to touch these wheels is water, the tools, or the Ahoy wheel cleaner. And let's see how we get on with it. So as always, the first thing I've done is give the wheel and the arch quite a liberal coating in the wheel cleaner. The arch was thick with mud. It was absolutely disgusting. I made the error of putting my face a little bit too close when I was pressure washing out and got a face full of dirt. No fun whatsoever. Hate getting a facial. Now, I left the Ahoy to dwell on the wheel. I find that when you use the foamer, it gives you that little bit longer dwell time. Lets the wheel cleaner eat into any dirt and kind of soften it up, ready for the brushes. Nice. I then went in, used my Tough Shine tyre brush to get around the tyre. You can see how dirty the foam's turned there. It's filthy. I'm then using the small SGCB brush because the wheels on this, they don't have the biggest gap between the brake drum and the edge of the alloy, but the small cleaner fits in just perfectly. I didn't fancy getting any more splashback from the EZ style brush that I've got. Then following on from that, it's just going to be a detail brush with a little bit of the wheel cleaner on it and going round the spokes. Now, because this is a rear wheel and this particular truck has got brake drums instead of brake discs, there's not going to be an awful lot of brake fallout style dirt bonded to the wheel, so these were actually fairly easy to clean up. The main issue with the back wheels was the arches, as you'll soon see. So at this point I'm kind of thinking to myself, right, what's the best way to tackle these horrible arches? And I thought, we'll go to the trusty Vican brush. So I loaded the Vican brush up again with some more wheel cleaner, and because of the generous arch gap with the nature of the vehicle, I was able to get in and give it quite a good scrub down in and around the wheel arch and get those layers of filth loosened up. Look at how disgusting that is on the brush. now with everything sufficiently scrubbed down and loosened off, I give it a quick once over with a pressure washer just to see how much I can get off or how clean it is. Following on from that, I got my little angled attachment just to get right in as much as I can to those arches and get as much cleaned out as possible. And they eventually came up quite nice with a bit of perseverance. This is just a very quick one on the opposite side rear arch of just how filthy it was inside and how much mud was stuck down behind those flaps. Hate dirty flaps. And then we're going to be moving on to the front wheels. Now I realise we're 6 minutes into this video and we're still on the wheels, but I really thought there was a lot of different points to cover in this section. So I'm not going to show you me cleaning the front wheel, but I'm going to speak about it. Now the front wheel has disc brakes, and due to the nature of the vehicle not being washed since basically it's been born, the wheel cleaner was just not for removing the stubborn brake dust that was just ingrained into the wheel. So I'm going to need to hit that with a fallout removal later on in the decontamination process, but I'm just going to go in for a close up here just to show you exactly what I'm talking about. You can quite clearly see the brake dust that's left there burned into the alloy wheel face. So next up is going to be the Scallywag Citrus Pre-Wash. Oh, you little scallywag. Now, again, to read from the label, Scallywag will assist in cleaning road grime off your bodywork prior to carrying out your safe wash. Again, this product is dilutable, heavy dirt 5 to 1, moderate dirt 10 to 1 and light dirt 25 to 1. And because my pre-rinse phase actually removed quite a lot of the kind of mud that was stuck to the vehicle, I just went with a 10 to 1 and I've mixed up 2 litres here. And to be fair, I probably went through about 125ml worth of product. Not 125ml worth of product, what are you talking about? 1.25 litres to fully cover the full vehicle and give it like a real nice thick coating of the citrus pre-wash. And if you're wondering what I'm using there, that is just a Brucey basic £3 pump sprayer out of one of the garden centres. You can go and pick them up, they're cheap as chips. Now, due to the nature of the traffic film that's built up on the lower parts of this car especially, I'm going to let this dwell for as long as possible. It's never a good idea to let citrus pre-wash dry on your paintwork, but considering the temperatures today are, I think, between 4 and 6 degrees, it was quite cold. I was confident that it wasn't going to dry out on the paintwork, and as you'll see in just a moment, I normally like to do something else just to make sure that it's not going to dry in on the paintwork. So in this instance, there isn't an APC readily available from the Blackbeard store, so what I did was I just decanted what was left of my citrus pre-wash into a 500ml trigger spray bottle, and I used that for going round my edges after the snow foam phase. So now I'm going to fire down a layer of the snow foam over the top of the citrus pre-wash. So this is the There She Blows snow foam, and to be fair, in the directions again, of course snow foam, it is dilutable. It does say light dirt 10 to 1, moderate dirt 5 to 1, heavy dirt 2 to 1, but you can see how thick my foam is here, and this is only using it at a 10 to 1 ratio. So I'm quite glad I didn't go down as low as the 5 to 1 that it suggests for moderate dirt. I definitely think the 10 to 1 is fine there, especially for sitting on top of the pre-wash and letting it give that additional dwell time to the citrus. So I mixed up a litre of the product, and by the time I got round the full vehicle I had around about 250 millilitres left in the lance, and you'll see how I use that later on, but don't throw out any remains of the snow foam that you've got. this right here, guys. This is a chalky brake. You've got to keep your strength up. It's getting cold out there, and these jobs, they're no short jobs. So quick bit of chocolate, sit down, chill out while your snow foam's dwelling, then back to it. So usual standard practice for snow foam. Get it off the wheels and then rinse from the bottom to the top. Now I'm not going to go ahead and show you all that footage. What I'll do is I'll just very quickly give you an overview on what I thought of the snow foam and the pre-wash. Both very easy to use. To be fair, what snow foam and pre-wash is not easy to use. Mix it up, spray it on, and away you go. What I did find was that on rinsing off, the combination of both seemed to work really well on this kind of road dirt. Again, this vehicle was really dirty, and by the time I'm actually going on to the contact wash, it wasn't too bad. What I did notice was on my mitt that there wasn't really that much dirt on the mitt or in the rinse bucket, so that would indicate to me that the snow foam and the pre-wash has done quite a good job. I've not done any swab or any swipe tests because this is not a review, this is essentially a first impression on the products, and so far first impressions have been very good. Right, okay, so the next thing we're going to do is carry out a 2-bucket wash method, and for this we're using the Shiver Me Timbers shampoo. I went ahead and used this. I put 25ml of product into my wash bucket and foamed it up. Now what it says in the instructions is that for light dirt you can use it 2000 to 1, moderate dirt 1000 to 1, heavy dirt 500 to 1. Now just looking at the vehicle, I didn't think that there was any need to go beyond the 2000 to 1 ratio here. So I'm probably somewhere in between 2000 to 1 and 1000 to 1 because I don't know exactly how much water's in the bucket, but it certainly foamed up very, very well, as you're about to see. And one thing that I would definitely say about this shampoo is that it's quite a thick shampoo. You know, I've used some recently that they feel quite watery when you're putting them into the bucket. This was definitely a lot thicker and more kind of gel-like, which I actually kind of prefer, I think. Now tell me this, does anybody else do this? I'm absolutely brutal for getting round to the other side of the vehicle and forgetting to take my wash mitt. Not my wash mitt, my wash buckets. So what I end up doing is rinsing them, throwing it over the roof and then picking it up from there. I think I eventually bring round the wash bucket, but in my absolute laziness I left the rinse bucket at the other side, which in hindsight is so stupid because I'm just creating extra walking work for myself. And then one thing that I've decided to do in this vehicle is use 2 different wash mitts. So if you can see the little line going along the side of the truck there, that was my cut-off line for the kind of upper half, and I'm using a separate wash mitt to hit the lower half, just so that I'm not dragging any dirt up the panels. Generally on a smaller vehicle I wouldn't bother doing this, but due to the size of this car and the filth of it, I thought it was probably worthwhile doing in this instance. Following on from that, it's just going to be a rinse down from the top to the bottom, getting all the suds off in preparation for our decontamination phase. So for the decontamination phase, I'm only going to be doing a chemical decontamination. I'm not going to be clay barring today or clay clothing. What I'm using at this particular moment is the shark bait fallout remover, and it's quite an apt name considering the colour that this stuff turns. And you'll see I'm only going to hit the lower part of the vehicle, and the whole point in doing this chemical decontamination is just to try and get the best bond as possible for the LSP that I'm going to be using later on. And you'll notice just there that I did indeed hit the wheels where there was the browning marks of the brake dust that was baked in, and you can see how well the fallout removers reacted and how well it's working. And again, you can see it, this wheel has been cleaned, and that's the amount of brake contamination that's still left on it. So after allowing the fallout remover to dwell for a sufficient amount of time, it was time to go over it and give it a rinse off. Following on from that, I did use a tar and glue remover, but I didn't have a Blackbeard tar and glue remover. I'm not sure if they do one, I'll need to check the website, but I didn't have it anyway, and so I just used a different brand for that one before rinsing off. Now, whenever I'm doing a chemical decontamination, what I like to finish up with is just going over the vehicle again with a layer of snow foam and then rinsing off. You don't need to let it dwell for any amount of time. This is purely just to make sure that you've got all of the fallout remover and all of the tar and glue remover off of the vehicle. You don't want that stuff drying in on the paint at all. It can do some damage. And this is where your leftover snow foam will come in handy. Now, I only had 250 ml left in the bottle, so what I did, I went and I topped the bottle up to about 750 ml. So that was adding another 500 ml of water. So I don't know what dilution that would take that down to, but again, as you can see, the snow foam is still hanging about on the car there. It's a decent thickness, and that's a snow foam that's been even further diluted than the lowest recommended use. So it's definitely a high foaming formula. So the method that I'm actually going to apply the LSP in the car has to be dry. So I'm tackling this with the SGCB drying tool, and I've actually got a second drying tool, a Korean dual twist drying tool, just due to the size of the car, truck, pickup, whatever you want to call it. I couldn't be arsed messing about, twisting out tools, wringing them out, so I just thought, you know, 2 drying tools will do. They're going to be dry for the next time I use them anyway, so it's fine. I'm not really particularly worried about it. And then of course, before the LSP is applied, I'm going to give the glass a quick once over with, again, I never got the glass cleaner, so I'm just using another brand glass cleaner to deal with this. Okay, so now we're getting on to the juicy bits. This is a Yo-Ho-Ho ceramic detailer. Now, there's 3 different application methods for this, but the method that I've chosen is to use a microfiber application pad, and it's a very straightforward. It is spray the detailer on your pad and go across a panel in a crosshatch method, so side to side and then up and down, similar to a few others that are on the market. Allowed to dry to a haze before buffing off. So what I found was that by the time I'd done one panel, it wasn't quite ready to be buffed off. It's obviously not optimal temperatures for doing this. So I went on and done a second panel application before then returning to buff the product off. And what I actually found was that was just around about an ideal amount of time to let the product haze over and be ready to be removed. Now, in terms of removal, this product was an extremely easy removal. I had a plush microfiber towel, didn't have to dampen it or anything like that. The product just buffed off really nice and easy, and as you buffed you could feel the panel starting to become nice and slick under the cloth. So after allowing a sufficient cure time, I thought, well, this is a new product to me, so I need to have a wee test it out and see what the water behaviour looks like. And if you remember back to initially washing the car and how flat the paintwork was compared to what it is now, it is absolutely night and day. I then finished the tyres off with some tyre gel, and that was from a new company again in Scotland, and keep an eye out for some future videos featuring their products. So if you do like this kind of content, please do consider subscribing to the channel. There's going to be plenty more coming up. I'm absolutely loaded up with products to test out over the coming months. So stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.